Our movie today begins in the depths of the sea, and among the coral reefs, we see a small town called Bikini Bottom. In this town, we see many different kinds of sea creatures. Then we move to the sponge named SpongeBob, and we also see his pet snail Sari, who wakes him up using his sticky slime. SpongeBob wakes up and calls for his starfish friend Basit, and together they keep calling their other friend, the squid Shafiq, who gets very annoyed with them and accidentally slams the window on his nose. After a while, SpongeBob serves breakfast to Sari, plays with him, then goes out for a walk with him around the town. They also practice surfing under the water, play music together, and have a wonderful day. When they return home again, SpongeBob says goodbye to his snail Gary because he is late for work, and then he leaves. On the other side, we see Squidward heading to his job, where he works with SpongeBob in a restaurant called the Krusty Crunch. He looks happy because the place is quiet, but suddenly SpongeBob arrives and drags him along. After that, SpongeBob goes into the kitchen and starts cleaning his grill. At that moment, the restaurant owner, Mr. Krabs, comes out of his office and asks SpongeBob and Squidward to get ready. SpongeBob quickly takes responsibility and cleans everything in the restaurant, and as soon as the smell of the burgers spreads through the city, a large number of customers rush into the place. Meanwhile, we see the villain named Shamshun, who keeps spying on the Krusty Crunch. He laughs his evil laugh and says he will now execute plan number 3100, which aims to steal the secret Krabby Burger formula. Then Plankton goes down to his lab, where he meets his robot wife Karen, who keeps mocking him and tells him that he doesn't deserve to stay on the wall of failure, and that she can't hang another picture for him. Plankton ignores Karen's sarcasm and explains that every time he tries to steal the secret formula, Mr. Krabs stops him. But Karen interrupts him and says that it's not Mr. Krabs who stops him, but SpongeBob, because he's the one who ruins his plans every single time. But Plankton isn't convinced and says that today he will execute a new and innovative plan. Then we go back to SpongeBob, who is busy making burgers. He even creates many copies of himself to serve the orders to the customers. Suddenly, his squirrel friend Sandy comes in, and SpongeBob gathers all his copies together to welcome her. Sandy tells him that she wants to meet Mr. Krabs, so she enters the office and brings out a robot from a box. She explains to Mr. Krabs that this robot's name is Otto, and that he can manage the restaurant without taking any salary. Mr. Krabs becomes happy because he won't have to pay him anything, and he decides to keep Otto. After a little while, Sandy says goodbye and leaves. At that moment, Otto tells Mr. Krabs that he loves money very much and informs him that he is fired. Otto sits in his chair and threatens to call the police on him. Mr. Krabs is shocked by Otto's behavior, so he takes him and throws him into the trash bin. When Plankton and Karen come out, they find Otto lying in the garbage, and then Karen decides to adopt him. At night, Mr. Krabs closes his restaurant and asks SpongeBob to clean the place before leaving. He gives SpongeBob a piece of Krabby Patty and tells him to keep it safe for tomorrow's sales. Then he leaves. After that, SpongeBob starts cleaning the kitchen, covers the burger, puts away the grill, and leaves. At that moment, we see Plankton hiding inside a jar of pickles. He comes out, uses his device to reach the burger, hooks the cover, lifts it off, and takes a sample of the burger. When he analyzes it, a paper comes out with the ingredients of the secret Krabby Patty formula. Plankton laughs his evil laugh, feels so happy, and says that now he can control Bikini Bottom. Suddenly, SpongeBob comes back into the kitchen, which frightens Plankton. He falls down and keeps running after the formula. But SpongeBob doesn't notice him. He only returned to the restaurant because he forgot his keys. While searching for them, SpongeBob accidentally causes Plankton and the secret formula paper to fall into the potato slicer, which cuts both of them into pieces, and they get fried in oil. SpongeBob doesn't see any of this, and he just writes down that his keys were in his pocket all along, takes them, and leaves. After all of this, Plankton finally becomes convinced that SpongeBob is the one who destroys his plans every single time. Then we move to the lost empire of Atlantis, where we see the palace of the king named Poseidon. At that moment, his advisor enters with important documents for the king to sign, but the king doesn't care about the affairs of the empire. Instead, we discover that he only cares about his looks and the appearance of his skin. He becomes terrified when he notices wrinkles on his face and screams very loudly. The advisor comes to him and presents a small snail. The king takes it and says that this creature is better than all beauty products. But then he gets shocked because it stops producing the slimy substance that makes his skin clear. So he orders the advisor to bring him another snail. The advisor throws away the old snail with the others that were already used, and we see them all enslaved. Then the advisor tells the king that all the snails have run out from their kingdom, which makes the king very upset. At that moment, he gets an idea and says that he will give a huge reward to anyone who brings him a snail. A little later, we see the advisor posting the announcement in Bikini Bottom. When Plankton sees it and reads it, he gets a crazy idea. He decides to kidnap Gary and give him to the king. That way, SpongeBob will keep looking for him and won't go to the restaurant, and this will allow Plankton to finally succeed in his plan. The next day, SpongeBob finishes his work and returns home. There, he keeps searching everywhere for Gary, but he can't find him. SpongeBob becomes very scared and realizes that Gary must have been kidnapped. He starts hanging posters all around the city. When he comes back home, he looks at the picture together and cries, remembering his memories of when he was still a little kid, sitting alone in a summer camp. Back then, Gary came to him and gave him food when he noticed SpongeBob was hungry. And from that moment, SpongeBob loved him very much and decided to keep him forever. And then we return to our present time, where we see Bassett coming to SpongeBob and telling him that he saw his posters and knew that Summy was missing. SpongeBob tells him that he's very worried about Suri and keeps crying. By coincidence, Bassett falls and finds the poster of the king in Suri's box. And when SpongeBob reads the poster, he understands that Suri was kidnapped so that the king of the lost Atlantis can use him as a cosmetic product. When he reads about the empire of lost Atlantis, he finds out that it is ruled by King Poseidon, and he realizes that he is a cruel and failed king. Despite all that, SpongeBob insists on going there to rescue Suri from King Poseidon. But then he gets scared and starts crying, saying that he doesn't have enough courage to do this. At that moment, Bassett encourages him and tells him that he is his best friend and that of course, he will help him and go with him. SpongeBob gets excited, and he and Bassett leave the house, not knowing how they will reach the Emperor of Lost Atlantis. Suddenly, a boat arrives carrying the robot Otto with Shamshun, who comes closer to them and tells them that he can give them the boat and that Otto will be able to take them anywhere they want. SpongeBob gets excited with Bassett, and they ride the boat. At that time, Shamshun asks Otto to take them to the lost city of Atlantis. And indeed, Otto drives the boat at very high speed. Along the way, Bassett explains to SpongeBob that they are close friends and that they might fight at times, but they must reconcile quickly. At that point, they disagree on this matter and fight with each other. Suddenly, Otto stops the boat, flies up, and drops them on the ground. As usual, each of them apologizes to the other. They hug, then go back to ride the boat again. Then we move to the Krusty Krab restaurant, which is extremely crowded. Mr. Krabs comes and takes full advantage of SpongeBob's absence from the kitchen, since he had never missed a single day before. He then asks Squidward to prepare the burgers. Indeed, Squidward goes into the kitchen and tries to turn on the grill, but unfortunately it doesn't work. Sparks fly and it shoots away. At that moment, the customers grab Mr. Krabs and start beating him up. Then we return to the boat, which is moving through the desert. At that time, SpongeBob and Bassett wake up and realize they are breathing in the air. They understand that they are in a shared dream and feel very happy with this experience. After a while, they arrive with the boat at a city called the Valley of the Lost, and the boat stops in front of a strange place called the Hell Salon. As soon as they get off the boat, Otto bids them farewell and jumps away. Suddenly, a desert plant comes from behind and hits them, and from that plant appears a real person who tells them that his name is the Wise Man. He welcomes them to the city, introduces himself, and explains to them that this shared dream has a hidden purpose and that he is here to help them. He tells SpongeBob that if he accepts this challenge, he will help him find Saray, and he gives them a coin, telling them that this coin will grant them courage at the right moment. He asks them to enter the Hell Salon, but before he continues, SpongeBob and Bassett leave him and enter the salon. Inside, they are surprised to find the place empty. But suddenly, real-looking people appear in the place, and they look terrifying and scary. SpongeBob and Bassett panic. But then the wise man arrives and tells them that these are not real people, but trapped spirits in the place, and that they must free them from their curse. To do that, they must defeat the leader of the spirits, whose name is Diablo, and he tells them that he is now on his way. The wise man leaves them and exits. At that moment, SpongeBob and Bassett are very terrified, and suddenly, Diablo enters and attacks everyone in the place. Suddenly, SpongeBob and Bassett are trapped in a cage and taken to Diablo's office, where he asks them how they dared to enter his salon. Diablo shoots lasers from his eyes and attacks them. They escape from the cage and run away terrified, trying to flee from him. Luckily, they manage to reach the window. SpongeBob tries to scare Diablo with the courage coin, but he mocks him. By coincidence, they open the curtains and the sunlight burns Diablo. Without intending to, they keep playing with the curtains, and the light continues burning Diablo, until when they look back, they find he is completely burned. They leave the office and return to the salon, where they find all the spirits, thanking them for freeing them from Diablo's curse. Then, exhausted, SpongeBob and Bassett realize that Diablo has turned into a monster, so they run quickly, ride the boat with Otto, who takes them and drives at high speed, escaping from the monster at the last moment. After a while, SpongeBob and Bassett wake up from the dream, and the wise man tells them that he will help them. He opens for them a window through which they can see Suri. They are shocked when they see King Poseidon treating Suri with extreme violence. They both keep calling him, but all of this is in vain. Then we return to the Krusty Krab restaurant, where Shamshun arrives and keeps mocking Mr. Krabs because the restaurant went bankrupt. He asks him to give him the secret formula of the Krabby Patty. Unexpectedly, Mr. Krabs opens the safe in his belt and gives the secret recipe to Shamshun. He tells him that the formula is useless without SpongeBob and Gary. He feels very sad, leaves and goes into the office, getting upset and walking away. On the other side, SpongeBob and Bassett arrive at the lost empire of Atlantis, and before they start searching for Gary, the wise man warns them and tells them that everything in this empire is designed to distract them from their mission. SpongeBob and Bassett get off the boat, reassure the wise man, thank him, and jump off. They enter the empire, where they are amazed by everything they see and start trying everything. They go to the amusement city, keep playing, surf on the waves, and dance. After a while, the wise man comes, thinking he warned them about all this, gathers them about what they did, and tells them that they came here to rescue Gary. Then he leaves. At that moment, SpongeBob and Bassett find themselves in front of King Poseidon's palace. They jump and enter the palace, beginning to search for Gary. By chance, they enter the theater and notice that King Poseidon is there. They decide to put on a performance and start singing. As soon as Gary sees them, he jumps from one place to another until he reaches King Poseidon. Then, SpongeBob asks him to return his friend Gary the snail, but King Poseidon refuses. SpongeBob tries to take him by force but fails, and King Poseidon's guards try to capture them. Meanwhile, we see Sandy arriving on a flying boat until she reaches SpongeBob's house. When Sandy enters the house, she is surprised that SpongeBob is nowhere to be found, realizes something is wrong, and goes to the Krusty Krab restaurant to ask Squidward about SpongeBob's whereabouts. She notices that Mr. Krabs is very sad because he doesn't know where SpongeBob is. And she also understands that Squidward misses him a lot. Suddenly, a breaking news alert appears on the TV, saying that SpongeBob and Patrick, who tried to steal King Poseidon's snail, have been captured and will be executed at a party inside the king's palace. Sandy and Mr. Krabs decide to go rescue him. At that moment, Shamshun informs them that he will join them, and Squidward also joins, but to see the famous performer who will perform at the party. The four of them ride the flying boat at full speed. Back to SpongeBob and Bassett, we see them trapped together in the same cell. SpongeBob is very sad for failing to save Gary. And as usual, Bassett tries to encourage him. Suddenly, SpongeBob remembers the courage coin and asks Bassett to give it to him. But unfortunately, it isn't with him. SpongeBob remembers that Bassett played with it in the amusement city, and they start blaming each other. Bassett locks himself in another cell out of frustration. Suddenly, the wise man appears and warns them that the coin was just an example, and true courage exists inside them. He leaves. Suddenly, the king's advisor appears and asks SpongeBob and Bassett to prepare for execution. Then we return to Sandy, who is with them. Shamshun tells them that he was the one who kidnapped Gary and caused what happened to SpongeBob. But now he regrets what he did. After a while, they all reach the lost empire of Atlantis, jump onto the boat at full speed, and arrive at King Poseidon's palace. Inside the palace, the party begins. King Poseidon and everyone present are excited. The advisor comes out from behind the curtain with SpongeBob and Bassett, and we see Sandy with them, enjoying themselves among the crowd without anyone noticing. As soon as Squidward sees the famous performer, he is very happy, while SpongeBob apologizes to Bassett for what happened. The trial begins, and the advisor asks how they dared to steal the king's snail. Suddenly, the lights go out. The advisor is kidnapped and tied up along with his guards. Sandy appears in his place and says they must defend SpongeBob. They realize that defending SpongeBob will make the performance much better, and indeed, King Poseidon agrees. Sandy starts telling the audience about SpongeBob and recalls her past memories, realizing that they met at summer camp when they were young. Sandy had told him she was from land and invented the suit so she could live underwater. SpongeBob was amazed and encouraged her, predicting she would become a great inventor. From then on, they became close friends. Sandy explains that SpongeBob is not a criminal and that he is the best person in Bikini Bottom. Everyone present is touched by her words about SpongeBob. Suddenly, Bassett intervenes and says that SpongeBob broke the law because he refused to give up and never abandon his friend Gary. He might even sacrifice his life to save any of his friends. Bassett recalls his past, saying he met SpongeBob when he was very young, sitting alone and crying. SpongeBob comforted him and asked why he was crying. Bassett explained he wanted to return home because he had been at summer camp for a long time. SpongeBob calmed and convinced him that if they became friends, he would be okay. Everyone, including the king, is impressed. SpongeBob is very happy with Bassett's words. Then Squidward says that although he doesn't like SpongeBob and finds him annoying, he is very kind. He recalls the past, mentioning the summer camp talent show, where Squidward thought SpongeBob was very talented and predicted that he and Bassett would win. We see all the contestants showing their skills to the judges. When it's SpongeBob and Bassett's turn, everyone cheers for the beauty of their performance. Then, Squidward goes on stage and begins playing, but unfortunately, his performance is terrible and everyone gets upset. The host of the competition, Madame Nefaha, announces the results. SpongeBob and Bassett win the prize, and everyone cheers except Squidward, who is sad and cries. SpongeBob and Bassett go to him, explain that the judges miscounted the votes, and give him the prize. Squidward is very happy and thankful. From that moment, the three of them become friends, along with everyone present, including the king. Then it's Mr. Krabs' turn, who says that SpongeBob changed his life. He recalls the past, explaining that when he was just a small burger seller, SpongeBob encouraged him to open a big restaurant because his burgers were very delicious. He tells everyone that SpongeBob is a special person and loved by all his friends. He says he thought the secret recipe was the key to his success, but later realized SpongeBob was the real reason. SpongeBob is very happy hearing his friends' words and realizing how much they love him. Suddenly, the music plays, and Shamshun appears on stage singing. Mr. Krabs, Sandy, Squidward, and Bassett join in, singing about how kind and special SpongeBob is. SpongeBob dances with them, impressing everyone. They advance until they reach the king and steal Gary without him noticing and escape. Once the king realizes, he orders his guards to capture them. SpongeBob and his friends run to escape the guards, enter a specific room, lock the door so the guards cannot enter, and use suits from the old knights. Each of them controls a part of the suit, defeating the guards. Exhausted, SpongeBob and his friends exit the suits, run down the stairs, and leave the palace. Fortunately, Otto arrives with the boat. They run quickly to board it, but he leaves them and goes away. The guards arrive, searching everywhere. But SpongeBob and his friends cannot be caught. At that moment, King Poseidon appears, looking upset. He tells them that he loved their performance, and that it was the first time he had been so happy. He forgives them for everything they did, and says they can leave under one condition. They must leave Gary with him. The wise man appears, telling them that true courage exists inside them. SpongeBob refuses to give Gary to King Poseidon, explaining that he loves Gary very much and that he is his best friend. The king gets angry and raises his spear to kill SpongeBob. SpongeBob tells him that no matter what he does, he will never have friends like his own. He says he has many friends and asks the advisor to tell him how many friends he has. The statistics show that the king has no friends, not even his guards, doctor, or advisor. King Poseidon feels very sad and cries because he has no friends. SpongeBob and Bassett tell him that he could be his friend and explain that he doesn't need to care so much about his appearance, because friends don't care about small flaws. What matters is that his essence is good, and that he is a fair king to all sea creatures. King Poseidon is touched by his words, reveals his true form, thanks SpongeBob, greets him, and decides he will not take Gary from him. He also frees all the snails he used before. At that moment, Gary asks SpongeBob to take some of the snails home with him. After a while, we see SpongeBob returning home and taking care of the new snails who became friends with Gary. Everyone in Bikini Bottom has their own snail. Life returns to normal, and finally, SpongeBob learns courage after understanding the true meaning of friendship.